Thank you so much for inviting me to join you today. And please, if you need to continue to stand, please do. And just find what's comfortable for you. But as she said, I work out of our Round Rock office and in Texas, and I get the privilege of managing the Americas teams. So not only do I get to focus on ergonomics, which is the fun part of the job, but I'm also doing the environmental health and safety programs across that region. So today, though, we want to focus on the sit-stand workstations, and we have been doing it for a while. And so we started back in 2002, where we had employees coming to us requesting a different setup. And back in the day, we were not sure what to do, and we knew that it would probably require extensive approvals, and we really came up with one solution. But what we wanted to do, and what we started on our journey to do, is really get towards that self-help, where we're helping the employee figure out how to sit and stand, but doing it in a way that ends us at workplace innovation, where we can offer multiple types of solutions that maybe don't require any approval, or at least it's just the employee working with their manager. And so what I want to spend the next 15 to 20 minutes doing is kind of taking you on that journey of some of the different types of solutions we've tried, what worked, what didn't work. So our first solution was that stand bias workstation. There's been a lot of research on that, where you just put it at a standing height, and because it's already at a fixed height, employees are going to stand more often, right? Because it's already there when you get to work and you start standing. So that was our first type of solution. What we found out was that employees really just want to sit tall. They don't really want to stand. They just really like that they're sitting taller than most others. And so when we were walking by this type of solution, we would do our building inspections and other things like that. We were finding people were just sitting, and that we really weren't changing their postures. We weren't getting them to move more. So the only thing we were able to do was really satisfy that customer who wanted this type of station. So we got together. So this type of solution, 2 or 3 years, right? It did require a medical note, and like I said, it required extensive approval. We all had to get together. You all had to decide, okay, this is what we're going to do. What type of footrest are we going to provide them? And so we said, we've got to do something easier. It's got to be simpler than this. So a team got together, and actually the first solution of the dual work surface was in Oklahoma City at our site. And again, we thought we were just cutting edge ideas here, right? Wow, well, we don't have to buy a new chair. We can use the chair we have. We already have the work surfaces. All we have to do is put in a facilities work order and just have it at a standing height. We are a technology company, so I think we have a few monitors around. So this is great, right? Well, most of you realize, and most of you probably have them in your work surface, in your workstations, people started going from 1 monitor to 2 monitors pretty quickly in 2006, 2007. So we're like, wow, now we gotta have 4 monitors, Okay, now we've gotta worry about all these different cords. And also employees were like, I am standing more often, but my chair kind of gets in my way when I'm standing. I don't quite have enough room, so I try to come over here to stand. I don't really love moving my keyboard and mouse all the time. I'll do it. But at this point, employees were still receiving this type of solution as a positive. We were trying to encourage the manager to just implement this solution without our approval. We weren't quite there yet, though, because they really still wanted that validation that this type of solution was something their employees needed before they, again, had that disruption in business where we had to set it up. So our next evolution, the next point, was the market. started providing other types of solutions that you could just put on your work surface, right? You could attach it at the front, or you could attach it at the back, or you could just set it on top of your work surface. So about the 2009, 10, 11, 12, those kinds of span of years, we started looking at different solutions. They became very affordable, and it really suited a lot of different setups. So an employee could have their laptop monitor and then have their other monitor. You could also move freely across your work surface. So if one of the disadvantages of some of the other solutions was that you wanted more work surface, you could have something that freed that up for you. The other thing was that they're very easy to adjust. Employees could quickly go from seated to standing. We just had a question about a crank. We had tried those types of work surfaces before with a crank, and nobody ever found the crank. So in this, it was right there, very visual, and employees could do it. But still, with these choices came challenges. And one of the challenges that we heard was monitor distance. Some of these solutions put the monitors at a distance to the keyboard that's not adjustable. You can move away from it, but when you move away from the monitor, you move away from your keyboard. So that was a big part of the discussion from the employee feedback we were receiving. The other thing that they talked about was the keyboard mouse platform. Not all solutions were requiring enough space. And so they were going from a work surface where they were seated, where they had plenty of space, to now a very dedicated space for your keyboard and mouse that they felt like it was not enough room. Again, they loved that they could sit and stand, but that wasn't quite enough space for them. And then also just the monitor distance, but also the monitor size. I think some of you had already mentioned in the last talk where our monitors are becoming very large. And so now we're like, okay, this solution is not quite accommodating a dual monitor when it's that large. And it's not that it couldn't happen, it just wasn't quite as easy to do that. So one thing that we wanted to do was, how do we continue to move down this road of offering different choices? The choices I showed you on the last slide were definitely choices we are still using today and that offer employees a way to have a sit-stand station. But at the same time we were going through some of these solutions, we were also realized that our company was transforming, right? We were going from cubicles to collaborative areas. We were asking employees, well, we weren't asking employees were now working from home. We had, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but we had a connected workplace policy that employees could now work from home, and they could work from lots of different places. So when they came into the office, it wasn't quite the same office that they needed to come into. We really wanted to foster the well-being at work. That was also, all of these things were kind of happening together. We were able to look at sit-stand workstations, but also couple that and integrate that with what our company was doing. We were transforming workplaces, and we were also focusing on health. And so what we're starting to do in these collaborative areas is now you don't need a sit-stand station for each person. You need a couple of solutions within a collaborative area, so that different people can choose the way they would like to work. And I think we've heard that several times today too, is about choice, and it certainly is meeting the person of where they need to work and how they need to work. And so it doesn't always require the solution to be replicated across your entire population. And we learned that that was a huge benefit to this type of solution. The other thing that we started talking about earlier today was the treadmill desk, the fit bike, all of those things. Well, again, Dell had the treadmill desk early on in our Central Texas site, probably 2007, 2008, just almost about when they started coming out. Our executives, actually Michael Dell asked that we put those in the executive area. We did. Thankfully for us, none of them used them, so we were able to redeploy those out into our workspaces. But what we found out was that the employees weren't ready for it. They really weren't into that concept. Again, we didn't have the right training. We didn't have the right communication, so they kind of just sat there. Today we have, we still have one in our legal area that gets used all the time, but it just wasn't the right timing. So a couple of years ago, we did a pilot in Nashville, and actually it was last year. They wanted to try it again. They wanted to really try this concept, and so we did it at our Nashville site with 3 stations. We did 2 treadmills and a fit bike. If you look at the photos, it's very clear. You may guess which one gets used more. So we had the treadmill desk with the view, and then we had the treadmill desk and the fit bike in a room. The employees can book this to use it just like a conference room or a meeting, right? So if you want to use it that day, you just go and book it. And what we found was that the treadmill with the view is used twice as more hours and 3 times more miles per week. So definitely employees were really enjoying getting to go to another space. They have a window view, they can work and become more active. What's really interesting, I thought the fit bike was gonna just be the thing that got used all the time. I thought, this is great. You can actually burn a lot of calories, you know, and it's not. It's really sitting pretty stagnant. The average usage right now is like less than a half a mile per week. And five hours. It's just really not getting much use at all. What our employees are telling us is it's not really that comfortable. You go from maybe your seated workstation or your chair where you have your back support, and you go to a fit bike with no back support, but you're still trying to work and you're still trying to keyboard and mouse and concentrate. And you're having to use those postural muscles. And so the treadmill, though, it's more standing and moving. We're getting a lot of usage out of that. So we will continue to expand that solution in other sites. But again, I really caution you that your population has to be ready for it, and that you really do have to communicate and have a lot of people involved. In this instance, our fitness center really helped us do that. So I talked a little bit about remote work population. We have a program called Connected Workplace. And in our Connected Workplace, it has really grown over the years since its inception in 2009. We're now at 73 sites in 29 countries. That's up just over a year's time from 50 sites in 28 countries. So it continues to grow. And our US Dell team member works about 9.7 times per month. And that is significantly higher than the average, which is about 2.3 times per month. Also, about 1 in 4 team members utilize this program. Now, the Connected Workplace is a formal program that you sign up for. We also know that about half our population works remotely in some way, has some kind of flex plan. They just didn't sign up for it. So we know that our employees are working in many different places, maybe their home office, their customer site. And so what we've tried to do is really have an ergonomic website that meets them of where they need to work. So they can complete online ergonomic training. They can participate in virtual ergonomic evaluations. They can also do our self-help tool where they can just go through a series of photos and see how they compare against the photo and then make changes. And we also have product recommendations on our website with product discounts so that we really encourage them if they want some type of sit-stand solution that they could order that for their home office. And also, part of that networking that's important for a remote working population is an employee resource group called Connexus. And we have almost 3,000 members. And this is a type of group that just talks with each other through our online chatter group called Salesforce Chatter, and they can share things, share experiences, but what I think is really good is that they can go out and serve together in the community. So they'll do community events, so it's really getting that community of people together, and it's been very successful. So as I talked about earlier, where we were going towards is workplace transformation. Coming into the office just does not mean the same thing for everyone anymore. right? We no longer come in at 8 o'clock, go straight to our cube, work till lunch, take a break, come back and work till 5 o'clock. We all work very different hours, and we all work in different modes. And we were able to take workplace innovation across 8 different sites in 8 different countries, trying to transform the way they work. And you'll notice some of these photos have many different types of standing surfaces. And you'll also notice a standing meeting. So these are meant to be touchdown types of spaces where I can sit for a minute waiting on someone. I might be working while I'm going to a meeting. But again, we're not recommending that this is their workstation for 8 hours, right? But there's different places that they can work and they can choose to work. You can also see in the corner picture that this is like a booth. So instead of going into a room and closing a door, you're actually getting to just sit and collaborate. These have been very successful. So as we're moving towards and we're moving away from some of the solutions I just talked about, those solutions are still an important part of what we're offering employees as choice, but we're really moving towards that adjustable work surface. Just listening to our employees over the years, we know they want a greater workspace for writing and desk materials. I also think the adjustable work surface gives that employee that visual cue so that they themselves know that it can adjust, and they know when is the right height. We don't have to have a facility work order to go make a certain height for standing or a certain height for seated. And also, it works with our current equipment and furniture, right? I don't have to order a special chair. What we found out is employees do love it. They love this concept. They love the idea. They are using it. You notice some of the pictures I've shown doesn't have the monitors and the other types of things you would need for this setup, because it's a fairly new solution in the last month. But we're really finding out that employees would rather have an adjustable work surface that they can go from sit to standing as opposed to the desktop surfaces. I had some feedback from one employee, and she had actually changed from an adjustable work surface to a desktop type of device because she loved the look of the desktop device. It was white, it was really nice, so she changed. She had an adjustable work surface. And just the other day, she was telling me, I never stand now. I just don't ever just want to lift it up. Where before the work surface, you just tapped it and you could take it to the height you want it. So that was just one feedback that I think we'll continue to monitor. But as we're looking at our journey, the thing I would encourage you to do is it is about choice, and it's about offering lots of different types of solutions that fit the type of work your employees are doing, right? So you may need different solutions for a remote population. You may need a different solution even for employees from an engineer to someone who may be a call center. And so having those different types of solutions then help you to have a workplace that employees want to come to and that employees want to be productive in. We heard that earlier, how ergonomics can have a big part on productivity. And in a Gallup poll from 2011 and 2012, more than 80% of our employees are disengaged, right? Our disengaged employees are 2 to 1 over our engaged employees. And so we need engagement of our employees. We need that productivity. And when we can offer work solutions that allow them to change and change their movement and change their posture throughout the day and really end up on movement, then we're going to be successful. So that is, I can take questions now.